This is Radical Spatial Futures, a project on spatial resistances, collective speculations and radical imaginations. You are listening to Confronting Radical Imagination, a conversation series asking what is the role of spatial practice in contexts so deeply conflictual that alternatives are not even considered possible. In this reflective journey, I confront spatial practitioners from around the globe with the notion of radical imagination. What does it mean to them? Is it valuable? Is it an inherent part of design and spatial practice? What is the role of imagination in wider processes of change? The conversations are structured around a series of material agents, images, drawings, and quotes amongst others, which are carefully curated from the practice's past work. In this conversation, I am joined by Khondaker Hasibul Kabir to discuss the work of Co.Creation.Architects and to together explore their humble approach on how architects can be useful to cities and communities. Co.Creation.Architects, or CCA, is an architecture and landscape design studio based in Chennai, Bangladesh. CCA was co-founded by couple Khondaker Hasibul Kabir and Suhaili Farsana in 2014. CCA focuses on engaging with the invisible, marginalized, but yet very important human and non-human communities that in the background have been sustaining the survival of our cities and environments. CCA's approach is deeply participatory and based on an ethos of valuing and empowering communities. CCA has won the International Union of Architects 2030 Award in Category 5, Access to Green and Public Space, and the Aga Khan Award for Architecture in 2022. Hi.
Hi Lana, how are you?
Can you hear me well?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, thank you.
How are you doing? Is everything fine?
Yeah. Doing good. I'm now not in my place, in another place, in the capital city of Bangladesh,
Okay.
Dhaka.
Yes.
But I live in Chennai, which is 5 hours by road.
5 hours. Okay.
Yeah.
So do you travel between the two places frequently?
Yeah. No. I went to another city. It's working. Then this is just a transit. So
Okay.
yesterday I came here. Tomorrow I'll be going to another city. Then I'll go to my own town. Maybe on 8th of February.
Oh my God! Thank you so much for finding time for me. You seem to be very busy.
Yeah. I mean, in the field, we are. This time we are going to different places and doing different workshops with the communities.
That's really nice. I just want for a couple of minutes to tell you why I'm doing this project and why it's important for me and what I'm trying to find out, because this, I don't know, it might be interesting to you. So I come from Cyprus, that is a very small island in the Mediterranean, and it's actually geographically West Asia, but we are part of the European Union. So it's a quite strange territory, but also it's a divided country because of a lot of centuries of colonialism, and this division is sort of present in the everyday life of people. You have to cross checkpoints to go to the other side, and we have different religions and languages talking, and there's also a lot of talks about reunification. But in a way, I didn't understand this context very much myself until when I was an undergrad many years ago now, I started working with this small group of architects that are basically doing research and workshops. And what they did is that they found ways to bring people together around the table that would not talk in other circumstances and discuss, but also about their dreams and their imaginaries for the future. So I got very interested in this idea of how architects that are doing work that is not the normal architecture work, so just building, how in a way they through the tools that they use, they have opportunities to bring people together and to imagine new possibilities. So that's sort of where my project is coming from. So I'm interviewing a lot of different practices from around the world and discussing this idea of imagination, but also conflict and contestation in the territory. So that's sort of in general what I am doing. And I think sort of where I would like to start is usually I think in your projects and you talk mostly about Chennai, which is the city that you are basically located in. but I also found this interview of yours that you were talking about your experience living in Dhaka as a professor, as a lecturer in your early years, and you being in the slum and a bit of the whole platform project, and this idea of that it was like a city within the city. So I wanted to ask you, I don't know how you saw this territory and how it influenced your practice in general.
Oh, about that, the experience of that slum and how it influenced.
Yeah, I found it very interesting that you said, I was listening also to a presentation that you did. It was in Switzerland, in Basel, right? That's on YouTube. And I found the story of you deciding as a person that worked in the university to live
Mm.
in this place that was sort of divided from the university because of the lake, not the lake, the river. I found it
Mm.
quite interesting. So I want to ask more about this experience and how you see this territory that is very divided in different parts.
Yeah, I think this type of settlement or communities are divided in many ways,
Mm-hmm.
physically and also, uh, uh, I think, visually also, or psychologically also.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's why I also use this word. That I mean there are so many people like those who are living in slums.
Mm-hmm.
Their numbers are, uh, I mean, not small,
Mm-hmm.
very big number. But in the city planning process or in our academia, when we are discussing about people, talking that people we are talking, uh, listening or doing something with people, then these people actually or these places are not in light. They
Mm-hmm.
are in always in the shadow,
Mm-hmm.
but they are in big numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So this is one aspect. And in the university, I used to teach uh, landscape
Mm-hmm.
and rural architecture and
Mm-hmm.
housing and development. So when you discuss this with students, and most of the time, housing and development, then this issue of housing all people, is always in the discussion. But interestingly, these people are just around our university.
Mm-hmm.
But we are talking about these people, but we are not taking advantage
Okay.
of of talking with them, bringing them in the university, or going to them and making their knowledge uh, useful to the students. That's what. So at that time, Tanzil was also
Mm-hmm.
the student university. So yeah, it was not intentionally that I wanted to live there.
Mm-hmm.
The slum is the biggest slum in Dhaka city.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking for a place
Mm-hmm.
near the university where I can go. I can walk there and come. And I also wanted a place where I can also uh, have my own garden.
Mm-hmm.
For example, I also teach planting design and landscape. Uh, I did my master's from Sheffield,
Yes, I know.
from the Arts
Tanzil
Tower.
mentioned.
So these two things, wild
Mm-hmm.
planned communities and these spontaneous planned communities and spontaneous human communities. These two actually uh, I prefer to work with these two communities. I feel good, and also I feel that these are the most important communities to survive our city and also the environment.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah.
so I need a garden. I need a land,
Yes.
and also yeah, that's how I found that place.
So.
It was also in my. I used to work
Mm-hmm.
in that community with my students, but I didn't think that I will live there. But when I was thinking that I need a place to live, then I found that this is a beautiful place with so many things I can learn. So that's how I was there and lived there for 6 years. Yeah.
How did other people in the I don't know if you mind me asking this, but like how did other people in the university react to you living there? Because I feel like some people, I don't know in the context, but perhaps in another country, some people would also consider it a bit like like a political position that you decide that you want to live there instead of somewhere else because you want to be embedded in the community. Or did you not mention it to your colleagues or your students that you were living there?
No, no, the colleagues, the students. It was I mean, place for
Mm-hmm.
all, to come
Mm-hmm.
and collaborate. I was living there, and the students, many students, they used to come. They uh, so many things we did in that community,
Mm-hmm.
not as a project, just a spontaneous thing.
Mm-hmm.
The children want to do something. Okay, let's do it. Then okay, any students we want to do, so whatever I used to do, or whatever the people I used to communicate with my colleagues, then with my students, and they were really uh, happy to join.
Mm-hmm.
It was, I mean, you were asking that how others thought or find it. They maybe they didn't uh, stay there, but they really encouraged
Mm-hmm.
me, and also whenever they have some time,
Mm-hmm.
they uh, came and get this experience. Yeah,
So I don't know,
and
but
they actually knew it because
mm-hmm.
I mean, they didn't think differently because before that also I used to live somewhere else in the
Mm-hmm.
rural areas,
Mm-hmm.
for several months. This is how I used to learn from different
Mm-hmm.
communities. So it is not new for me.
So in a way, what you're saying is that you think that is it true that you think that it's very important to be embedded and live in the communities that you work in? Um.
For me, yes.
Mm-hmm.
For me, and this is another way. Uh, uh, and there is another way also. You facilitate people uh, to do this type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody may be in university, somebody may be in another
Mm-hmm.
organization, and they are trying to facilitate this, that many people can work with. So in my the way I work, or the way many people like me, there are now many people, and there used to be also many people in not maybe in my country, but in other countries,
Mm-hmm.
like from Community Architects Network, then Asian Coalition for Housing
Mm-hmm.
Rights. You'll find people from in 70s, 80s. They have been working in this way
Mm-hmm.
in many countries, so it's not new. uh, but this is one way of working.
Mm-hmm.
This is through engagement.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel this is an effective way of working. Yeah.
And I don't know, but in a way, did I guess your experience there, if I understand it, also then you moved back to Chenaida, which is Chenaida your city where you are from originally, where you grew up
Yes.
in? So then when you moved
Yeah.
back there, you kind of seeked another place like that to embed yourself in and to work in. or
Yeah.
did you already know where you wanted to work in? Is it like a community that you were familiar with from beforehand, or did you go there and seek to find this place that has this both spontaneous communities?
We do, both type of thing. But when
Mm-hmm.
we went to, me and my wife,
Mm-hmm.
Sohaili Farzana, when we went there, we didn't have, that type of thing, in
Mm-hmm.
mind that we'll do something. We just jumped there,
Mm-hmm.
and embedded there. Then slowly we asked ourselves, and also asked people, that how can we, as architects, be useful
Mm-hmm.
to the city, to the communities. Then many things. Like one phrase I always remember, and also tell my students, by Nabil Hamdi.
Mm-hmm.
Nabil Hamdi, I think, in which book? Maybe A Small Change, the book. He
Mm-hmm.
mentioned that position yourself with a purpose and let the circumstances guide you along.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the purpose is always maybe in your heart, that,
Mm-hmm.
uh, but if you position yourself, then so many things come. Then you can pick that. Oh, I'm interested too. Is most of the time it's not my project. I
Mm-hmm.
join with others' project.
Mm-hmm.
The projects you have seen in Jinada, none of the projects are our project.
Yes.
It's all people's project, and but uh, but that is also our project. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we also wanted to do that. Then people said, we want to do this, we want to do this. Then we said, oh, we also wanted to do this. Then let's do that. So it became, their project, and also
And
my project.
your
So
project.
this is how we have been working in many places. And sometimes some people also come to us with their own project.
Mm-hmm.
uh, then we also work with them, like maybe some organization, like, the work we have been uh, now assisting with the UNDP.
Mm-hmm.
uh, they have citywide projects in maybe 20 cities of Bangladesh. So they are thinking to work in 3 cities, to how the community people, they have money, they have savings, and money, the community people, community network, but they don't know how to uh, design and build their houses by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So we are trying to make them feel confident that you can do it, and these are the steps you can do. This is what we are doing. Yeah.
I also found this amazing diagram. I did not make this. It's from a diploma thesis project from a student that used to be in Oulu University. I don't know if you've ever seen this. And she sort of mapped your project that is somewhere here, up there in the green area, in this massive network of other people and organizations. So I found it very interesting that you even mentioned this, that you are never doing the project alone, but it's always in this very big network of different people, but also
Mm.
communities. Have you seen this before?
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I didn't say this one, but this is actually we aspire for. This is
Mm-hmm.
how, the community architects network, uh, and in the network, you know all the peoples, like this is, the city-wide
Mm-hmm.
people's network. But if you go to, Indonesia,
Mm-hmm.
or in Thailand, or Philippines, our
Mm-hmm.
friends works will be, similar.
Yes.
It's similar, and we say that how we get this. We try to maybe uh, try to be inspired by the network of nature,
Mm-hmm.
forest kind of thing. So it's like the diagram. If you draw the diagram
Mm-hmm.
of a forest, or a diagram of organic network of nature, that is very interesting, and we
Mm-hmm.
try to. It's very difficult to achieve, but we try to achieve that.
So in a way, you
Yeah.
have the network diagram of all the people and the communities and the organizations, and then you have the one from the nature one and the ecosystem one,
Mm.
and you're trying to be like what connects these two, or create another thing that is in between these two.
Yeah, and also this is also a group. Then also we are individual.
Mm-hmm.
I have maybe something I like
Mm-hmm.
to do, and I feel good. So we always start with, myself
Mm-hmm.
in a group. They say, what do you like? Then we find that it's possible to, if the project, I mean, most of the projects, so-called projects are very rigid. If and we don't work in that type of rigid
Mm-hmm.
thing, and also sometimes the funding organizations are also rigid, time also rigid. This. So if everything is flexible,
Mm-hmm.
and if the relationship is based on trust, then, like, you want to do something, then if I have fund, then I say, okay, this
Yeah.
is my fund, I can give you. And what do you want to do? This is then you can do it in your own way, in your own time.
Mm-hmm.
So this is how actually it's not that flexible, but in ACH and network, but we figured it out together.
So in a way, it's based
So
in on trust in a way, from what I understand from what you're saying. Like it's
yes,
based
yes,
on trusting the people that you work with, but also them trusting you, and you find your own
yeah,
role
yeah,
within this big network. And
yeah, yeah. And
yeah.
also interest, like, maybe I like, maybe to work with plant communities, I
Mm-hmm.
mean nature, somebody maybe like. So we sit together, then we find that everyone's interest can be addressed, in the project.
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody else is in this network, then the outcome would be different.
Mm-hmm.
So
That makes
this is how
sense.
actually nature also work. If this plant is here, or that that animal is there, then the environment will be different.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the problem? If the outcome is different, that's how we prefer to work. That's why all feel good.
I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
you also have to be happy and passionate about what you're doing to do it well, I
yeah,
think many times.
yeah,
I
yeah.
cannot
That's
just
true.
be involved in any project and then I will not give my 100% to it, I guess.
Mm,
So
mm,
I think that the case of Chenaida is very interesting, especially with the river, because I understand what you're saying about these spontaneous natural communities, but it felt to me, at least, like looking from outside, what I understand is that the river was a very important part in the past of the city, because it was built around the banks of the river. But then slowly they started, and the city started turning its back to the river. And then through your work and your project, what you did basically is to reconnect the communities to the resource of the river, right?
yeah. And it all came from when we started to sit with people. It
Mm-hmm.
all came from there, from the children group to elderly group. All were like, we have a river,
Mm-hmm.
but and children group was less because they didn't have that experience. But all the people like our age, then older than us, they were like so nostalgic, and someone was like crying that we are losing uh, our river, and it was we were facing that.
Mm-hmm.
So it was not our idea. I mean, we couldn't avoid the
Mm-hmm.
river.
Okay.
We then, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
their aspiration is towards the river. Yeah,
And also, if I understand correctly, the communities that you worked with in this project in Chenaida, they were quite low income communities that were living across the river. How did you sort of get in touch with them, or how did you start working with them, and what sort of people or conditions were they in?
it was kind of a momentum. Before going to Jinaida, we were working uh, in other cities with
Mm-hmm.
uh, a project funded by World Bank and BRAC, BRAC University, and National Housing Authority together. We were doing a project, community-led housing project. So that the National Housing Authority can uh, do it in their own way. However, we tried. I mean, the whole team we were 2 years in another city. Uh, at that time. So, but we couldn't make the authorities or National Housing Authority, and I mean the system, the system. We couldn't make the system uh, pro people. Like they are talking that but again they are thinking that this should be a kind of top down thing. So the whole team of architects, we community architects, we quit from the job
Okay.
together. Then we formed a group called POCA, Platform
Mm-hmm.
of Community Action and Architecture, in 2013. So, and at that time we also had a so we are doing this housing thing. Then we are like kind of frustrated that it's a big opportunity, but it's not happening
Mm-hmm.
through government and World Bank. So we need to, and happening, many were saying that, oh, it's possible maybe in Indonesia, it's possible maybe in Thailand, but it's not possible in Bangladesh, because Bangladeshi people is like they are like this. They will not be, or maybe the local politicians are not as good as Thailand.
Mm-hmm.
So then I mean, we realized that we need an example in Bangladesh,
Mm-hmm.
so that we can say that you see this is happening in Bangladesh, and if we can do it in one place, then the community people can teach other communities,
Mm-hmm.
horizontal sharing. So then we thought that maybe we can go to our own city and let's see. So this is how
Okay.
then we started to talk with local communities, then municipality. They have a list
Mm-hmm.
uh, of low income communities. This is how we started. So you started in Jinaida city with by organizing low income communities through saving, by making or
Mm-hmm.
creating saving groups.
Mm-hmm.
So those who want to work together, start saving group, then maybe we can do something together. Then we found some a seed fund from ACHR,
Mm-hmm.
and through that we started. Uh, in the beginning, there were 9 communities. We started the saving group. Then we formed a citywide community network.
Mm-hmm.
Then the community network, they selected one community to go first with that seed fund. So this is how we started. Yeah.
I just wanted to ask you, because this is not, it's very hard to find any information, because it's also not one of the biggest cities in Bangladesh, and also there's a language barrier with me not talking Bengali. But is this city? It seems like, I mean, the internal part of the city. It seems like most on both sides of the river is quite low income communities. Is that true? What are sort of the demographics of the city in general across the river?
It's the low income communities are not only by the river.
Mm-hmm.
It's uh, the the city corporation. I mean, the municipalities list, there are 63 low income communities.
Mm-hmm.
Then when we did settlement profiling,
Mm-hmm.
by the people,
Yes.
there's another interesting story. Then we found that it's 81 communities, low income
Okay.
communities. So it's all over the, I mean,
In the
it's
map.
both sides uh,
Mm-hmm.
of the river. Yeah.
But yeah, as you said before, I kind of understand, like how I see your work is that the things that you're creating or designing are not like the houses themselves, but for me it's like kind of three things. I have them written down here. The one is kind of systems of support and management, like you mentioned with the money sharing, and you kind of support people to start managing their own spaces, their own money, etc. And then I think the other thing is like this amazing, I would call them sort of like spaces of encounter that you create, that it's in a way people that wouldn't do this in other cases, and you just bring this big thing and everyone sits on the floor and creates and imagines together. And also then yeah, this is sort of the management system, but also I see that as you're giving power to the people to take power of their own space and their own cities, and and then you have these spaces that are always common and public, and they are, I see them also as interfaces between the people and the nature. Is do you think I'm right and this is what your work is about, or am I missing something?
Yeah, I think yeah, we have been trying this. What you have, yeah, very rightly, beautifully, presented. Yeah, I mean this. We think that we do not use this word, but in our heart we say this power, you know, power dynamics. We try to. I mean, I, when we talk, then we said, oh, we see this color, maybe, intensities, maybe we need to balance that color. Color means, power,
Yes.
So, where is the power and how can we, transfer that power here? And another theory, I mean, it's not theory, I mean, it's a kind of thing in our group. We say that uh, power is we can think in two different ways. One is power is infinite. Maybe there is a lot of infinite power, and another way we can think that power is definite.
Okay.
Yeah. So maybe if we think that uh, two-person, maybe you and me, uh, if we think that the power is different, that means power maybe uh, we have only power 10. We cannot get more
To
than 10.
20, yeah, it's 10
So
is the limit.
maybe you have 3 and I have 7. So most of the time, the way the person who have 7, I will think that, oh, maybe I will empower you, uh, and lift you to 7. Then but in this way, uh, this is one way of thinking. But the way we think that then it means that power is infinite. I mean, that means you need more power. You need to borrow some power, from somewhere. But this way, the way we think that if I can give you some power, then we both can be 5. You have 5, I have 5. This is we feel that this is a very interesting way of thinking. So when we sit together, when we try to think that, okay, we don't need to borrow some power from somewhere else to give someone. Let's balance the power among ourselves. Then both we all are same. This is what we try to do everywhere. The municipality has power, the mayor has some power, and other things are like power of money. That's why saving, power of working together. When people are alone, very powerless.
Yes.
Together, then when they have this together, they have money. Then they, oh, we have power. Then when they're connected with money, oh, they 60 communities with maybe $1,000, then they, oh, we are rich, so this, and then other important thing is information. When we, the experts or city authorities, they have the information of the low income communities or someone, then they are powerful. But when they have their own information, then they are powerful. So the information we always generate together, and we make it uh, clear that, if we get some information, then we make clear that the information will be in the community first, and we'll take the copy of that information. So it's their ownership.
Yes.
This is how uh,
It
we try to do.
it reminds me a bit also with a conversation that me and Tanzil have with our students, because I teach with him a lot in different
Mm.
courses in the university. And it's what we always tell our students is that you have to, as an architect or urban designer or landscape architect or whatever you are, you have to give a bit, just let your ego and your expertise away. So suddenly maybe you are not the expert, but the local community is the expert, because they know their space better. But also many times you are not the designer, but they are able, and they might be the designers of their own spaces. And I see the work that you're doing quite in that as well, right? It's like you're saying, I'm not gonna design your houses. You have the ability, I'm here to support you and to create the spaces where we can talk about it, but then you can do that on your own. Is that how it
I mean,
is?
this is obvious. I mean, anyway, architects or professionals are. Uh, I mean, people are designing their houses. People are designing their cities. Whether we are present or not.
Yes.
And not all the houses and cities are bad because there are no architects there.
Of course.
So so the, our question is that, people are anyway designing or co-creating their cities. How can we, the professionals, be useful in that process and make it better together?
Yes.
Anyway, they're doing it. They don't need us. Many of them don't know what's the role of architects, what's the role of planners, and they don't know. So
But I
yeah,
think it's not as simple as you say, because if you go to a different context, like I also, where I come from, cities are not designed by architects, and houses in the past at least were not designed by architects, and people created their own. But if you are, for example, in the UK and you talk specifically to architects or planners, they think that it is important that they design so things work better. So I think this conversation that you're saying, oh no, this is normal and it's quite simple, I think for some people it's not, and that's why we need to talk about it. And that's like where the exchange happens. So I think it's also about many times professionals having an ego and saying, I studied so many years, I know how to do this, I should do this. People shouldn't be involved in this conversation. So I think what you're doing is really powerful in that sense, that you're saying, no, we don't have to do anything, they don't need us, we will just find a way to support them in what they are already doing.
Yeah, I understand it. This is, all over, here also. I mean, it's both. It's not the problem of, not problem, the perception of the professionals. It's also the perception of the local people. They also think that they cannot do, and professionals think that the community people can't do. Both think that.
Yes.
So I think when we'll involve, we need to actually discuss with both that you can do it. The community people, you can do it because you are doing it. And the professionals who are saying that, you see, people are doing it, and if you just try to understand it, then and know this, learn this process, then you can be more effective. Maybe previously you were designing one house in 1 month or 1 year. Now if you understand this process, then you can maybe design hundreds of houses in a different way. So actually it's the way we learn architecture in universities. This way is very different. The approach is different. Like in our country, if you calculate, how many architects, how many, all architects, try to be useful in the traditional way, they will not be able to do, because too many people needs, so there must be a different way of giving our service, providing our service. And that way is to create a system where they the inhabitants will know that uh, if if she or he has some little problem with the health of her house, then she can solve it by them, like, like first aid. So that, and if it is difficult, then they can go to that hospital or that doctor, or they can borrow money from somewhere. This system, if we can create that system, uh, then many things can be solved by people, by themselves, and many difficult problems, like, very cancer or some problem of health, like, then they should go to professionals, otherwise they don't need to go. Yeah,
So in a
that's
way,
what
you're
we try
saying
to
that
do.
an architect is a doctor. Is that it? That they're all
uh,
not a
yeah,
doctor, but
I mean,
the role of the
yeah,
architect is changing, and it's something else. It should be something else.
in our country, I mean, this is how, when we communicate with people, they understand it.
Okay.
Then they also understand in a different way, like uh, like the health of the health of the body, and health of the house. To make a healthy house, we need to do this, this light ventilation, then, the strong things, need to do this. So this is how we try to communicate and let make ourselves visible in the community, that we are doctors of houses. That's how we communicate. And also we need to be, also we have the right to be paid also. Like, you
Yes.
pay to the doctors. This is how we communicate.
Are you also like the doctor of the community or of public space? Like, does that go in a similar way? Because I think housing and the private housing of someone is a little bit of a different conversation than when you're talking about common space in the community or how the
Mhm.
community is together. So what's sort of your role in that? Uh,
Yeah, I mean, it's a different community, and then it's a complex community. Like, when you work with low income communities, then it's low income communities. When you are talking about city, it's all, from, mayor to, all professionals. Then you need to open with all, and maybe find some focus, like, when we're doing this, workshops, for city, uh, city co-creation process, uh, then we did several workshops with several groups. Like, if we sit with all, then you can't listen, and many people overpower others, like, oh, children, you don't talk. Hey, woman, hey, you don't talk, like the powerful they start. So we sat with different groups in and asked the same question. And the techniques is, I think, that is very important. Like, that's the difference of, maybe, uh, an anthropologist or sociologist ask question in a different way. That is also effective. We learn this, how to question, what to question, and what to uh, uh, I mean, get, maybe a sociologist or anthropologist, they can hear some other things. Maybe I mean, architects,
Hear
we
other
don't
things.
hear, or care, so that's also important. But the method of, I think, engaging uh, needs to be different. it's not focus group discussion just,
Mm-hmm.
it needs to be focus group drawing and discussion, or
Mm-hmm.
focus group, some activity needs to be there,
Yes.
so people is doing something, acting, then they're they're in their inner conscious level, like the way we design or something,
Mm-hmm.
we can bring all the people in that level maybe
Mm-hmm.
within an hour. And we designed, within 2 hours we can finish. So we sat with children, then different, all several different groups, uh, and asked the same question, how do you want your city to be?
Mm-hmm.
Then if they have focus somewhere, then and uh, with the city map in front of them,
Mm-hmm.
you know, then they are talking about, through that they are learning about the city. Then then we want this. Then we maybe put another, a tracing paper or polythene,
Mm-hmm.
transparent polythene thing. Then we, oh, how, what do you? Then immediately they start to design or draw something. Then they explain. This is how we got a lot of aspiration and engage them. When
Mm-hmm.
they say about their aspiration, they are in our group. This is how we collected people.
Mm-hmm.
Through small workshops. Yeah.
So in a way, you are like I don't know, like a facilitator. Like you don't design yourself, but you're just bringing people, the right people together. So it's designing after all, because you need to decide what you will ask them, what sort of maps or material you will have, or tracing papers and markers, and which people are going to come, and how are you going to talk to them. So you're still designing, but you're not designing the city or whatever. You're designing this process of
Yeah.
engagement, right? Yes.
Yeah. Yes. I
Mm-hmm.
think this is important. And in many, and as you all know that, we say that we don't need to design,
Mm-hmm.
we only need to organize people's dreams.
Mm-hmm.
People, all they have this, we can just, and I think we are, architects, planners, we are good at that.
Mm-hmm.
If we can organize all people's dreams, then in the end, when you organize that those dreams in a, maybe in a plan or section in a model,
Mm-hmm.
then people, oh, how did you do this? You have a lot of, I mean, you are great. Then we ask them, is there anything what
Mm-hmm.
we have introduced? Is there any idea? Is there? They don't find it. They say, yes, we said this. We said this. We said
Mm-hmm.
this. So everything we said this. It's your
Mm-hmm.
design. We
Mm-hmm.
just organize. This is what happened everywhere, in all workshops like we did, day before yesterday in another city. In the end we asked the same question: is there anything that, in the end always they were, oh, this is how can we together did this, because we are together. It's a positive energy and we wanted to do something, and maybe architects push them to, do it in a different way, maybe through drawings and
Mm-hmm.
models and other things. But in the end, all the things, all the suggestions, everything were their suggestions,
Mm-hmm.
their everything. We just, so then they, and another thing we do, the photographs we have showed, and whenever we do with some group, then we make it everywhere. Every time we do that, we make a presentation. We tell that, oh, in the end you need to
Mm-hmm.
present it, and in
Yes.
that presentation we are not there.
Uh-huh.
The community group, they present, and they
Mm-hmm.
present to the city authority or the authority,
Mm-hmm.
and immediately something happens. I mean, this community people, they talk with maps, models, and they get confidence, and the city authority, they also get confidence
Mm-hmm.
that, oh, this is my people, and they also, what many times they take immediately, they take pride
Mm-hmm.
in front of us. You see, my people, they are doing so good, then I say, okay, you don't need, actually, you don't need us, you can, and whenever you need, uh, now we have maybe we can create a group, uh, in a social media group, WhatsApp group, then whenever you need, maybe, and it's cost effective, we don't invite us, you don't need to pay, and this is how actually we try to do. Yeah, it happens everywhere.
This idea of the architect as like the organizer of the dreams is very interesting to me, and I because it also has to do sort of with the topic of my project. In a way, these people, do you think they have these dreams before you engage with them, or are they somewhere inside of them but they think that it's not possible to do it, and then through your engagement and through the workshops that you're doing or through your conversations with them, the dreams sort of manifest and they come out? Or what is it exactly, like how do you think these dreams are generated?
I think maybe psychologists, they can tell it, but what I feel that in they have it inside them. They have it, but as you mentioned, that they have also a, negative, they have it maybe in their right brain, but in the left brain something, no, it will not happen, that type of. So they need someone, like you, an outsider, outside of the family, to go to the family and say that, oh, yeah, you can do it, you can solve your problem, two brothers, fighting, and you cannot do, you can solve your problem. So that third person, an outsider person, is actually us, and make them visible. It's not only the community people, local people. We say local people, like local architects. Sometimes we go to some city, like uh, maybe from Thailand, they come to Jinaidu city, Bangladesh, and maybe 5 days, and after the workshop, or maybe we go to Thailand, to another city, and so the city see that, oh, people from many cities, they are coming, uh, and they host us, the city authority hosts us, and in the end, we say that, you see, your architects in your city, they are doing so good, but the city authority actually, they were, I mean, these architects were invisible. They were not giving they were saying, oh, maybe the architects from other country, they are good, when the architects from other countries, they are saying that your architects are amazing, then they say, okay, so
Yeah.
we can do it. So this is actually, we said that this is another politics we should do, uh, that we go somewhere and make a noise, then make the local people visible, local groups strong, to work together by themselves. Yeah.
So how do you mean that this is political? In what way? Like it's politics? Like it's in what do you mean by that?
No, I don't. I mean? What is politics?
I know I have a very strong opinion about this, so I'm asking yours to see if we mean the same thing or not.
No, no. I mean,
I
politics is maybe nowadays. Maybe politics, uh, we have, maybe because what we are seeing. Maybe we think that, oh, this is politics. Politics is maybe doing something uh, together with people, and this. I mean, this is something better, and somebody maybe will take the responsibility. This is to us, it's very simple, that is politics. So if we uh, like, maybe the local politicians, they want something, like in our city, uh, what happens, uh, sometimes, if I want to do something, then uh, in the beginning maybe they think that, oh, uh, who is getting the credit, who is getting, the benefit. uh, then the local, sometimes politicians, uh, they may think that, oh, uh, so if we understand that, then we can actually, if we think that we don't need to be visible, we need the work to be done
Mm-hmm.
by whoever,
Yes.
then actually we can make that politician to
Mm-hmm.
do things for us,
Mm-hmm.
and they can get their own credit, no problem. Like this housing process is, all over the places, is uh, told by the mayor
Mm-hmm.
in so many places, because whenever he's saying with pride, and that's, uh, and after 2 years he was invited to, Thailand, then Germany. Then before that, he didn't know about this. He was Then when he was invited, then I said, you have to go to, Germany, because other mayors will be there. Then he needed to understand everything to present, you know
Mm-hmm.
so this is I think this is a good politics.
Yes. I don't know. I think where I come from, and I feel like it's quite similar for you as well, but because the context is in a specific way and there is a lot of things happening, most people, like the average everyday person, they always think that, how do I say this, that there is no alternative. This is how things are, and we cannot fix them, we cannot change them, because we can't do it, it's too hard, it's too complicated, right? Or we I cannot do anything, I am just a simple person. And I think, like, what I'm seeing with talking with all of these different groups of architects and planners in my project is that I think just the decision that you do this, and that you try to tell that no, you can change things, and you can do it on your own, and there is alternatives, and maybe we cannot achieve the best thing, the most utopic thing, but that's okay, we can do something together to make a better future, or to live better now. I think that's a political thing, like, I think that's political, because in a way it's saying that things shouldn't be as they are right now, and we can't change them together. So this is a very strong political position in my understanding. And I think, but political not in the way of local politics or parties or this sense, but in like the more rooted perspective. And this is one thing that I see in a lot of the projects that I talk with.
Mm.
I also wanted to ask you, because you got this 2 awards from the UIA 2030 award, but also the Aga Khan award. And it obviously gave you a lot of opportunities to talk with a lot of people around the world, and to showcase your project. And I'm sure a lot more people know your project after these awards. But did it actually help you? Like, how did this help you to get the awards or not?
After getting the award,
Yes,
or
like, yeah, how did it change your, was it positive for you, or what was the actual positive thing? What do you think about this?
I think it's still too early
Mm-hmm.
to uh, say. Yeah, I mean, through this many, it's visible. It became visible, like this
Mm-hmm.
process. So I think many people, those who uh, wanted to believe this process, not only in our country but other
Mm-hmm.
countries, they have this evidence now. You see,
Okay.
this is a process we have been talking, and this is recognized by UIA, this
Mm-hmm.
UN thing, and also the architecture award. So this is, for those people. This is helpful. Those who
Mm-hmm.
are really want to promote this. This type of projects were before also you get, I mean, through this. even in the UN is new,
Mhm.
comparatively new, but in Aga Khan Award you see this type of process projects were awarded before also, and now also there is another award, World Habitat Award.
Mhm.
There also you can get a similar process thing. But for us, and also in the academia,
Mhm.
I think they are getting this mm, evidence or an example that
Mhm.
yeah, there is another way of thinking, working, and in the practice also there is a debate, I mean, going on that okay, they are thinking that this is alternative people, they are Kabir and others, they are doing this, is it architect's job or sociologist's job now? uh, they're thinking in a different way, or we can have a discussion there.
Mhm.
So I think this is in this way, I think we have a positive relation. And for young architects mostly, I think this is
Mhm.
helpful, because most of the time the young architects uh, are interested about this because they ask the right question most of the time at their age, and they try to pursue, they try to make themselves useful.
Mhm.
But maybe their parents ask, oh, what do you do?
Yeah.
Or maybe their society. Now they can say that, you see, there is something, and we can survive, and through these different organizations, or also
Mhm.
like the development organizations,
Mhm.
they are also finding some uh, related things they are doing maybe in another area. So they find that, oh, these architects are doing same thing, so there is a uh, many invitations are coming from
Mhm.
different organizations to work together.
Mhm.
So I think the architects are their horizon, working professional horizon is getting bigger.
Mhm.
Immediately we see this, after this award. So this is one, and I think positive, and some of the negative is not that much.
Mhm.
I mean, there is a maybe in Chennai city, there's still uh, we have a now new mayor, and he is still watching, uh,
Okay.
and giving time, because if he does this immediately, then the credit will go to previous mayor.
Okay.
No,
Yes.
so he's thinking, oh, I mean, this is completely,
Mhm.
a
This happens
childish thing.
everywhere.
So,
Happens everywhere.
yeah, yeah. So he's a good person, but he's
Mhm.
saying that, thinking that if he immediately join and expand this idea, then the people will say that, oh, he started, the previous mayor started, so he is now taking time. So I think, but we are working in other many other cities,
Mhm.
those who really want to do this. Yeah, many politicians are also interested to
Mhm.
work with us. So this is interesting. Yeah, we are exploring very new, interesting path.
Mhm. And I guess like for you to get these awards, you had to very specifically write down in applications and forms about, I don't know how they call it in academia or in organizations, what the value or the impact of your work is.
Mm.
So I don't know if you want to tell me a bit about, like, what do you think the most important value or impact of your projects and of your work are, and did you have to like reframe it to for the awards, or how did you explain your value in general?
So we just explained the way we are talking,
Mhm.
and we didn't think that we'll get the award. So we
Mhm.
just, I think it depends on how, who are in the jury, and
Mhm.
what's I mean, how they will, they found it interesting, they found it, and yeah. So it's not like we described about the process,
Mm-hmm.
the and every time if we describe the process about, and we only focused on the riverside
Mm-hmm.
project, because they didn't have the scope of mentioning so many things.
Mm-hmm.
So riverside, but we told the story how it was not a project, and somehow it came to be a project.
Mm-hmm.
And we started from the community, and this is how it, and maybe I can, and it's and this award system is very weird. I mean the form and other
Mm-hmm.
in many, like you have to say, you need to say something good about yourself, or so that
Yes.
so it's, but and also who is the architect, but here we maybe we are architect, professionally we are architect,
Mm-hmm.
but there are so many people, they are without those groups,
Mm-hmm.
it's not possible.
Mm-hmm.
The municipality, the community people, the different groups, it's not possible. So we mention everyone, every groups names, like 10 groups, also the people from community architects network and platform community action, all actually uh, it's an effort of long time,
Mm-hmm.
with so many people. So we just told that story,
Okay.
and the story was told by our son.
Okay.
I mean, we couldn't tell, I mean, our story. So at that time, he was 9 months old.
Mm-hmm.
So we just, said that, okay. He was, telling the story. I am 9 months old. My name is
Mm-hmm.
this, and I want to tell a story
Mm-hmm.
of my city, and my parents are,
Mm-hmm.
architects. So he just described the whole process, and somehow they gave the award. It was fun, we
No, that
didn't
sounds a
expect
lot
it.
of fun, but it also sounds like a really sweet way to approach it through the eyes of, let's say, a child, like seeing the process and how it unfolds. But what do
Mm.
you actually think that is like the most important thing that your projects are doing, like the most valuable thing that not the project,
Mm.
just the end, but the whole process gives to the people, the local people that live there, or the city, or in general,
Mm.
or to you as well?
Yeah, I think to me it's exciting that in Genida city there
Mm-hmm.
is now, we have now a kind of very flexible, very informal platform where we
Mm-hmm.
can discuss about anything
Mm-hmm.
uh, about the city. And about the city means, like now we are very excited about the safe food, so we are I mean this agriculture, safe food,
Mm-hmm.
gardening, for the last 1 year. Then we are discussing about this waste management, then education, it, so everything. And as we are so many people,
Mm-hmm.
uh, we can help each other, and also we can approach directly to the city authority,
Mm-hmm.
and city authority also see that this is a interesting platform with all people from all beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
And this platform is not like registered, it doesn't have any office, it doesn't have, it's a very
Informal.
uh, informal, and whenever we call, then we, and I think this is the most exciting thing we have
Mm-hmm.
created in Genida city. And I think this is the powerful thing. If you
Mm-hmm.
say that, and how could we create that, is maybe through time and through our some of the action and achievements, people feel that they feel good to
Mm-hmm.
be, yeah,
Involved.
uh, yeah, yeah.
I don't know. I wonder sometimes because I'm sure this work is also very difficult to do. Um, and many times it's not the most stable financially, because every time you have a new project you need to look for funding, etc. So it's a quite complicated and hard thing to do sometimes. So I wonder, what is it that makes you like keep going and staying with these sort of projects,
Mm.
and with the struggles but also the happy moments that come, like, why like personally, why are you doing this?
No, I mean, different uh, person in our group will have different,
Mm-hmm.
answer,
Mm-hmm.
why they are doing it. It's a kind of a voluntary thing,
Mm-hmm.
but why all are doing it? We all are earning from, actually, in a different source from somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
uh, like, I teach at a university, not full time,
Mm-hmm.
and I have also a small practice in
Mm-hmm.
United City together, Suhaili and I. Then sometimes some invite us to uh, work in other cities, then also sometimes is paid. So how we are surviving is a very different and complex story for ourselves.
Yes.
And we have a platform that is POCA,
Mm-hmm.
POCAA, and many people, many organizations are now uh, hiring us, or as a consultant,
Mm-hmm.
and they are uh, now paid,
Mm-hmm.
in last few years paid. So this is how we have been earning.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and now in the next 3 years we'll be running uh, uh, these workshops, then classes, uh, then regional workshop, then national workshop, and this is uh, and funded by our network,
Mm-hmm.
through our network, ACHR, and some organizations, Alma Monday and others. So we are busy with, always busy and happy with our works,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe not a lot of money, but actually those who are here, they know it, that
Mm-hmm.
this is, and they want it. They don't
Mm-hmm.
want other things.
Yes.
They don't want, and so that's why. So yeah, I mean, if I want this, then it's not hard work. It's
Mm-hmm.
not problem. Yeah, and we
Yeah.
are not doing any job to anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
So all who are in our network, yeah, mostly like this, and some are doing job, and in their spare time they are doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Some are in other countries. They're doing some, maybe, writing work and other documentation thing. So many
Mm-hmm.
things we need to do. So in the network, we are doing it. And survival, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we
No, I completely understand, because
somehow,
it's similar for me and many of the people that I talk with. Like, it's just what you want to do, so you will find a way to do it. You will find a way
yeah,
to finance it and to fund the projects, because you really think that you should do these projects, or these
yeah,
processes. Yeah. And
yeah.
I guess that's very different from other professionals in the field. So it's quite interesting. So this is like
It's
one.
very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you want to do this, but there is no money here, but
Mm-hmm.
you really want to do this, and you are doing it. But somewhere, you maybe that person is not giving you money, but some other person is giving you money. Maybe you didn't give that person, that type of service. I mean, this is interesting way,
Yeah.
you.
And it's a
Yeah.
university many times, so I feel like a lot of practitioners that do this sort of work, they have a double position, like they work part-time in a university, they do teaching or research or something, and that in a
Mm.
way funds a lot of their life, so
Mhm.
they are able to do this project. So is it similar for you too with the role of the university in your work, or is it also
Uh,
about
for, for
students?
for me, I think the university is not that much, but for the university is actually, uh, that is also another uh, source of happiness, to be with students, and they want to, and when they are professionals, they also start working the similar thing, so as a now I teach at the university part time, and maybe that is not, uh, maybe that is not giving me, enough money to survive, but I feel that this is important, to know how the students are thinking now, and what's their priority, and maybe if I can give them a different perspective and give them some confidence that they can also do it. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess there is this one question that I like to ask everyone that I interview. So it's a bit of an imaginative question. So if, let's say, you close your eyes now and you wake up at some point in the future, I don't know in how many years you want, 5, 10, 2, doesn't matter. And a lot of the things that you hope for, they are happening in the world around you. What, like, I want to know, what does it look like?
What I want that is happening in future.
Yes, like in a future that is, maybe it's not the best, the ideal or utopic future, but it's a better future for you in your context
Mhm.
around you in your cities. How does it look like? What is happening there?
It's- I don't know, but what I, maybe not very long future, but what I want to see is very. I feel it very easy to achieve in for my country. Or you are asking about my place, or the whole world.
No, your place, whatever you want. Doesn't
Oh,
matter.
okay.
Yes, your
Okay.
place better.
Yeah. No, if I start with my place, then some of the um, things we I feel that is easy, you know, if we all maybe sit and listen to each other, and try to uh, try to do something together, and if there is problem, then solve the problem together with like uh, happiness. We are sitting with happiness, then doing something with happiness, full fun, and that type of, I think, environment. And if we have that type of environment, then everything, all the problems created, human, then environmental problems, then it's, I think it's very easy to solve. I mean, if we, like the co-creation process is nature, you just assist a little bit. The nature is so happy that, oh, these human beings are now becoming a part of nature, or with other communities also, human, non-human community. So I think that this getting together and listening to each other, with, and having, fun together, that type of environment.
That's amazing. I know it's a strange question, but I think when I ask it, people stop for a second and I get nice responses, because it's interesting to see what is it that you hope for, right? And I think, like from my perspective, it's a little bit like, I mean, if we don't think in general what we hope for the future or for today or for tomorrow, it will never happen. Like, we need a way to discuss it and to do together, as you're saying, and to do workshops and to draw together to understand what we want to happen. Yeah. I don't know if you have anything to ask me or anything else that you would like to talk about. That's okay too. And then we can end.
No, I mean the words you mentioned in your short introduction is the radical imagination, and then common imaginary landscape. Then another word also, critical spatial practice. Yeah. So this is what your PhD. So you can tell me a little bit about
of course,
this.
yes.
The radical. What do you mean by radical imagining and this?
So there is 3 main parts, let's say, of my study. If we look at it, there is 3 main things that are interesting for me, but it's not about those 3 things in isolation, but about how they connect and work with each other. So for me, it starts with a context of conflict or contestation, which means that it's a situation that might be like in my country, that is divided because of war or ethno-national or religious reasons, but it might in other cases also be because of marginalized communities or wealth or caste difference or religious differences, but even because people don't have access to water or to housing or to other goods because of the ecological crisis, etc. So this context of conflict is just a way to say that there is something happening on the ground in our cities or in our places, in our communities, that needs attention urgently, or also it creates very different ways that people understand their cities and their territories and their spaces. So how people understand and their imaginaries are completely different. And then in this context, I'm looking for practices like yours or others that I'm interviewing that some people call as critical spatial practices. And this in a way means, first of all, it's spatial, so it's people that deal with space. They design space, or they try to visualize spatial things, for example, and they are spatial practitioners. They might not be architects, but they might be artists or urban designers or environmentalists or whatever. And the other thing that is the critical part of this critical spatial practice, it's not only that they are critical to what is happening, that might be part of it too, but it's also a bit in the sense of critical care. Like you say, is a doctor, there is a situation that needs attention, and these people decide through their practice to do something about it with people in their communities. And then the radical imagination is a very interesting thing that I did not know about, but at some point my other supervisor, Doina, she mentioned it to me like a long time ago, some years ago, and I found that it explained a lot of the things that were important to me and that I felt and that I learned from when I was practicing myself. And it means a lot of things. First of all, it means radical doesn't come from it's radical because it wants to change the world, but it comes from the word rooted in English. So it means that all the problems and the solutions that we're finding in the imaginations, they are rooted in the reality and in the past and in the present. But like, if I have to explain what radical imagination means, is in a way, it's first of all the ability that to say that the world isn't how it should be right now, like our context isn't how it should be, and it should change in a way, the structures, the systems should change, but also that we can imagine how they might be in the future, and in a way do some parts of this in the present already. It's a concept that connects the past and the present and the future. So you are in the present and you recognize that the world needs to change, and you honor the way that you live in the present, but also remember about what happened in the past and how our communities used to live. And then in this present moment, you can dream of possibilities for the future and bring them back to the present. So it's in a way imagining and dreaming about what might be, but taking a little pieces from that dream in the future and implementing them now. And this was a very important concept for me, because it's what I felt happened in the cases and in the practices that I was engaged in Cyprus. Because a lot of people asked us, why is this thing you are doing important? You're not changing anything. You're not building anything. You're not changing the policies. No one is listening to you. Why is it important? And after many years thinking about it, I think why it was important is because some people's idea, including myself and other people that we engage with, and everyday local people from the community, the way that they participated in the project, or through different games that we played and workshops, it changed the way that they understand their context and their situation, but it also allowed them to dream for a better future and to do things and to know that there might be a better future. So I take this idea from my context and the practice that I was engaged in, and I'm trying to talk with other people from around the world that do work that can be sort of in this similar realm, and see if this is also applicable in their situations, or if imagination is a very important part of their practice as well. That's why this thing that you mentioned, that you are essentially an organizer of dreams, I think it's a very powerful thing. But also, it's like you're not just organizing the dreams, but you're like helping them come out of the person, right? Because perhaps if you didn't have these interactions with these peoples or the workshops, maybe these dreams wouldn't come out. To be, they wouldn't even say them or think of them in that sense. I just talked for a long time now.
No. Yeah. Thank you for explaining. Yeah. And how you were interested about this? Can I ask you this?
You mean the project?
I mean, how you? You started to think like this.
So I was grew up in Cyprus. I'm from Cyprus, and this is a very, very conflicted context. So the country is divided in two parts, and growing up in school and the education system, it depends on which side of the island you are in which community you are in, but they try to teach you a very specific way of thinking, that is, we are this and the other people are the others, and this is all the things that divide us, which means you don't have anything in common with them, right? And I had never interacted with any person from the other community ever, never talked to someone or anything, until I went to university, and there I was, our department was right next to the buffer zone, so a crossing point that you can show your passport and pass through. And I got involved through teaching, through one of our courses with this group that is called Imaginary Famagusta, that I showed some photos before. And it was very exciting for me, but also very hard, because it was like someone just slapped my face, and I understood that one thing that I understood was that the conflict, or how my country is working, is not how I thought it was. It's very different, and these people that are on the other side of the border of the buffer zone, they are not very different to me. They are very similar, actually. It's just someone else that divided us. But also I understood that there can be a future that is better, and I allowed myself to imagine and to dream for a future that we are together in a way for my country. But also it changed the way that I understood architecture. So I was like, okay, I'm an architect, but I don't need to design buildings and build them. This is not the only thing I can do, but I can do many, many different things. So back then I just got involved with them. I became an intern with them, and then some years ago I'm like a part of this group of architects. And I started understanding also through university and everything that there is a lot of practices around the world that maybe they don't do exactly the same thing that we were doing in Cyprus, because the context is very different. But they use the tools that architects know to do, like workshops and drawings and maps and the communication that we have, to do something about their context and to change how people think about their everyday life and their cities and their countries, their communities, through their work. And for some years now, this is my main interest. So I really enjoy, it's what I'm passionate about, to understand how practice, this sort of, some people say alternative practice of that some architecture groups or art groups are doing. And I also understood that in a way imagination was very important as a part of this, and it's something that no one talks about because it's very hard. It's like when someone says imagination, it sounds like something very abstract or very theoretical, but I think that it's not very theoretical. I think that in the work of these practices, it's a theoretical concept that is very practical, and it happens all the time. What you're doing basically is that you're allowing people to imagine and to dream how they want their cities to be, and this is something that designers do all the time. They imagine something that doesn't exist. But the difference is that in these sort of cases, like yours also, you're not just imagining something and designing them, but you're with people, and through doing things together, you imagine together, and maybe the future that you imagine is not the same for everyone, but because you did this together, you have some common ground and some common landscape and common imaginary for the future that you can work towards. And if we don't do that, there is no way to change our lives and our situations. It's in the same way that you said before, that like you hope and you imagine for a moment that we can all be together with happiness and talk to each other and interact with each other, and then we can solve all of our problems. It's in a similar approach. I think that imagination is a very big part of this, and it's about saying in the start, things are not okay now. We shouldn't live like this. This is not the best way. Things should change, and then how can we change those things together? Sorry, I'm talking so much.
Yeah. No. Thank you for. And I mean, one of senior architect, he could be our mentor. He passed away.
Mm-hmm.
He was from Australia. His name is Paul Fellers.
Mm-hmm.
You know his name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He was from Health Habitat. We met in a similar way. We were, in one occasion, he came to Bangladesh, and he was then immediately, then we first time met and discussed, and he stood up and shook my hand and said, "We are in the same religion."
Yes.
And he told me this story that he had this experience in a Mexican architect, not architect, when they were talking about the same thing, same excitement. Then he just hugged him and said, "We are in the same religion," and in a very strong accent, from So that's what I can tell you. We are in the same religion.
Yes.
The Confronting Radical Imagination conversation series is hosted, written, researched, and edited by Lara Scharf. The conversation series is part of the Radical Special Futures project, funded by the ESRC, supervised by Professor Doina Petrescu and Dr. Tanzil Shafiq at the School of Architecture of the University of Sheffield. Special thanks to Khondaker Hasibul Kabir and Co.Creation.Architects for joining the conversation. Follow their work on their website. To follow the RSF project, check radicalspecialfutures.com or at Radical Special Futures on Instagram. Playing in the intro and outro is Fairy Tales by Daniel Zambo.